I am back from San Diego, but the damn hot tub still is not ready to go. Damn Trinity Electronics, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, bad marks by me. Okay, let's take a look at something that seems to be similar, but may create misunderstandings or even animosity between people who care about each other. Take a look at that passion and empathy are both labeled as feelings. But consider that passion is an outward vector and empathy is an inward vector, or maybe an interconnection and not a vector at all. I've always been intrigued by the Myers-Briggs personality typing. The woman who introduced me to it had just been identified as someone who would be good at teaching or would be good at being a secretary, and by God, she taught secretarial skills. So when I took it, it said that because I hate routine and practicing, I look for opportunities to innovate, which puts myself and my family in physical and financial danger. Just the prior week, I had taken a 30-foot rented sailboat with no prior experience in sailing onto the Columbia River during a gale and barely avoided disaster, and man, I had a hell of a good time. So when I introduce someone to the Myers-Briggs system, I illustrate the thinking-feeling polarity as follows. I was discussing abortion, and the mother of our daughter said, "Oh, but what if it was Amanda?" And I responded, "Well, how in the hell is that relevant when we're talking about something that affects possibly 60 million women?" So she was coming from a feeling perspective, and I was coming from a policy perspective. She is an ISFJ, and I'm an ENTP. Notice the F and the T conflict there. So, if you then, let's take a look. God damn it, what's going on here? I'm sorry, I lost my place, and I like to type this out ahead of time so that I seem a little bit coherent while I'm speaking, which is not happening in the moment. So, so maybe there's at least two kinds of feeling in that F part of the Myers-Briggs. And maybe they're quite different and they pose a lot of conflicts, as many conflicts as the differences between a policy oriented person and a feeling oriented person. Imagine a little girl walking home from school who notices that the Scotch broom is in full bloom, reds and yellows and whites. She completely loses a sense of time and awareness and a sense of the worry of her mother that she'll be coming home late, and she collects a giant bundle of blossoms. That is passion. Now imagine a 12-year-old boy who's the new kid in town and notices that there's no place for a large, older, retarded girl to sit on the school bus, so he scoots over to make room for her because to get up and abandon the seat would communicate she was too repulsive to sit with. That is empathy. The little girl got a whipping for frightening her mother by being late. The boy listened to the other kids on the bus taunt him all the way down the hill as they sang, "Nathan loves Georgina, Nathan loves Georgina." The little girl, stopped her passion and became hypervigilant to avoid pain. He then hides his empathy from a world full of cabbage heads. Now, try to imagine that when passion, even though it is stuffed, marries hidden empathy. They both have strong feelings, but they're directed quite differently. Figure that out. Now, here's pure speculation. If you see a Facebook page full of pictures and clouds and flowers and trees and puppies and kittens, I'm guessing that might be the page of someone who is passionate. Whereas if you see a page full of pictures of people crying, you may be looking at the page of someone who is empathetic. If you are working with or under someone who is vigorously attentive to details, deadlines, and policies, you might be dealing with someone who's had to stuff their passion. If you are acquainted with someone who sticks a knife into you, figuratively, whenever they feel insulted, you might be dealing with someone who's hiding their empathy from a world of cabbage heads. So which one are you? Are you empathy or are you passion? You could certainly be both, but there is more of an emphasis in you. Is there more of an emphasis of one over the other? Have you noticed the vector? Is the vector coming out of you or is the vector coming into you? And do you notice a conflict with the people in your life whose vector is going the other direction of your own? So get out there, be passionate, be empathetic.